Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Week in Review Part 2. This is the second straight week, and I'm actually doing something consistently for a small period of time here. We are going to run through the week in MLB Pro and what a week it was. Actually, probably the first week we have not had a trade where trades were allowed to be done, maybe ever, but certainly in a really long time. So let's go through this thing, I guess, bit by bit, right? The first piece of news, the biggest piece of news, is that baseball is back. Spring training is alive and well, including a very strange but unique and fun start to how this thing went. So, Commissioner Matt Eisenberg decided that he was going to set something up where we were going to play a 2-game series between major league teams and low A baseball teams, low to mid range A baseball teams for the first 2 games of spring. The minor league teams would go home, and then we just enter into the regular old spring season. Excuse me. So, in that, I guess, vein, we had at least two, yes, 2 wins, 3 wins of minor league teams beating major league clubs. Now, again, it's spring baseball. There were some, youngsters playing across the board. Nobody was really feeling their A team here. But the interesting one to me was that the Fort Myers swept the Cubs. They beat them in 2 straight games, 4-3 the first day. I don't remember the score the second day. 2 straight games. The mighty Chicago Cubs were beaten by the single A team Fort Myers. I thought that was hilarious. I know Justin Jabs was not running out his stars out there, but to me, it was really, really funny to watch a minor league team just sweep a major league team, no matter the circumstances. Augusta also took down the Royals in the third victory. There was a team, Lexington Legends, took the Astros to extra innings. The Astros actually did run out a pretty decent club there. A lot of their starters were in the rotation, at least playing for a couple of innings. Again, not a full 10 to 11 innings there, but there were still some names that you'd recognize in that game. So the minor league teams put up a good show. First couple of games of spring, it's a unique situation. It's exhibition for sure, but just fun to watch, right? I really liked the format. I'm hoping it continues. Day 1, 2:15, right? This is a personal thing for me, but Doug Smith is the player of the day in the major leagues versus minors. He went 4 for 5 with a home run and 5 RBIs. His first action in any kind of a Braves uniform. I was really excited to see that. Well, let's move to 2:16, right? 2:16 is an important day for me because there was one very important major league debut, and that's from Kenny Funkhauser, Lil Funk, as he is lovingly known now amongst the league. He made a spring debut, went 3 2/3 innings, gave 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, struck out 1 against the Astros starters. Look, it wasn't the best performance, obviously, but it's good to see him on the bump. From Kansas City management, we got a statement. It said essentially, Lil Funk came out throwing, got ahead of the first batter, 0-2, lost focus, gave a solo home run to Darjay Kawaway. Understandable. Left him pretty rattled for the remainder of the first inning. He did a good job working his way out of a jam in the second, getting Fernando Tatis Jr. and Richard Fowler out after walking the leadoff batter and allowing a single. That man, Darjay Kawaway, again. Did only 7 pitches to the side, retire the side in the third, and the fourth was a disaster. Right now, again, you like to see a young guy get through 3 innings well, but didn't go super well in the fourth when he tried to get back out there. The Kansas City manager was being quoted as saying, "I'd rather not think about it. Hopefully he'll take what he learned and works hard this year in single A." Nobody thought Lil Funk was going to be up in the majors this year, but it's really exciting to see him pitch against some major league talent and get a peek at the rest of the year, right? Again, 2:16 is the day that Fort Myers beat Chicago to go 2-0 against them in spring. Augusta took down the Royals. There were a couple of small signings, but let's stay with the other debut, and then we'll go to the signings here in a second. Jason Dumont debuted on 2/17 for the Detroit Tigers. He had a much better outing. I can't remember his exact numbers, unfortunately, but the quote from the Tigers brass was, "We are super impressed with his poise this early in his career." He goes right after hitters. He threw only 8 pitches outside the strike zone over 4 innings, 26 balls, 8 strikes, so 34 pitches through. Yeah, that's really, really impressive for Jason Dumont, the number 1 overall prospect in the Tigers organization. I don't know that he starts the year in the major leagues, but the Tigers have shown no fear in putting a guy up there when they think they're ready, and I really like seeing him go off in spring and play very well. That's kind of it for the spring notes, right? There have been some good flashes. There's been a couple of injuries. I know Jose Gonzalez is out for about 5 weeks. Kobe Allard down in Atlanta went out for a couple of weeks. There's been some little ones. Nobody is going to miss the season yet, although there has been some troubling news over the last, let's say, 12 hours that has leaked out of Kansas City, where they have a visit to Dr. James Andrews, and that might end the season for Sterling. But, this is one of those things where we are very, very early on. I'm hoping that we don't see that's Felix Sterling, by the way. I'm hoping we don't see a rash of injuries. It's only been a week, but I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about performances yet because, again, we're only a week in. There's teams like the Royals that are running 4 lineups out there right now, which I think is a really interesting idea. Maybe getting into some of the theories of how people manage their spring training rosters and lineups will be an interesting topic to cover later on in spring once we've got some data on it. For now, I don't want to talk too much about individual performances, right? What I do want to talk about are the moves that were made because there weren't a ton, but there were a couple of interesting ones. John Hellwig is a relief pitcher that signed with Seattle for $3 million. We know that the Mariners have been just desperate to find arms for the last year, it seems. They're just going to throw some money at somebody and see how it goes. The Angels signed Jake Jeffries, which is interesting because I think a lot of people assumed that they were in on – oh, my God. What is this catcher's name? The guy he was a catcher for the Pirates last year, whose name is totally escaping me. Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Anyway, there were rumors that they were chasing the top catching bat on the free agent market. Who, God damn, that's so frustrating. Who was out there, right? Rumor came out that there was a National League team that poked their nose into the bidding and drove the price up a lot higher than the Angels were willing to go, somewhere in the $15 million over 4 years range, and the Angels backed out. Right. I don't have a lot of confirmed sources that are saying this, but I do know that the Angels were in on that player. They have now since stepped out. They went ahead and they signed Jake Jeffries, who is a great bench piece for the Angels at $2.75 million for 1 year. No risk here, right? It does open up the possibility of what is going. God, it's so frustrating. What's going to happen to that catcher, where he ends up signing? Because I have heard that the National League team that put a bid in on him has since pulled it back. So his act has dropped down to that $12 million range. But I think a lot of people are more comfortable. And the more recent one, which came out yesterday, which I thought was very interesting, is Jason Parker signed a minor league contract with the Rockies. That's just great depth for a team that already has a lot of good pitching options and has a good offense. Jared Parker, excuse me, not Jason Parker. Jared Parker has been a very, very good arm in this league for years. And to get him on a minor league deal, I think is a steal for the Rockies. So I loved what they did there. That's it. Really, that's it, y'all. Like, there have been no big signings. None of the big free agents came off the board. There were no trades, literally 0 trades this week to talk about. And we're too early in spring to get excited or depressed about anything. So I will let you run 8 minutes, under 10 for the weekend review. Go out and make some trades this week so we can have something to talk about next week. And I will talk to you on the 29th. There isn't a 29th. I'll talk to you on the 1st.